Hey, Sean here, Fat Moose Comics. This is not a comic book video. This is a bass video. This, today, October 14th, is a momentous day, an important day, a day of import. This, 30 years ago, I bought this bass on this day. I still have the receipt. I'll throw it in here somewhere in the video. It's framed. It hangs above my desk at home because I want to explain how I got this bass, why I got this bass, and what this bass means to me. My trusty old Modulus. 1993, a 21-year-old Sean was heartbroken. I had a girlfriend, my first real girlfriend. We dated from when I was 17 till I was 21. And I turned 21 in April of 93, April 15th, tax day, go figure. And May 10th, my girlfriend broke up with me. Over the phone, which she lived like a mile away. It's like you couldn't take the trip. But anyway, she had met some dude and it's a whole long, stupid thing, but broke up with me. I was crushed. It was my first like real true heartbreak thing. So, being 21, of course, drugs and alcohol. Why not? Yeah, right? Seemed like a good idea at the time. So, maybe in June, I think it was, good friend of mine, he lived with his parents a mile or two away, and they went on vacation. They would go on vacation every year for like a week, and we would just basically move into his condo and just party and go silly and do all the dumb things that 21-year-olds do. And so I had spent a few days at his house, doing all the things, taking all the things, basically experimenting with my biochemistry on every level. And I went home to basically get a change of clothing and maybe like pilfer the kitchen and grab whatever snacks I could grab for the guys. So when I went back, we could have some food. We hadn't been eating. So my grandmother was living with us, my maternal grandmother, and my grandfather had passed. My grandmother was there, and we were just looking after her. And I stopped in, just pie-eyed, just like every kind of high you can think of. And she said, "Listen, before you go back out, I wanted to give you something. You and your sister and your cousins, you're supposed to get this when I die, but I'd rather just give it to you now and let you, see you enjoy yourself and do whatever you have to do." And she handed me a check. Now, again, I was lit up. So she hands me this check, and I look at it, and I'm like, "Oh, hey, wow, $1,000. Thanks, Grandma." She goes, "What? No, look again." And I looked. It was $10,000. My grandmother gave a heartbroken 21-year-old on acid a check for $10,000. So, yeah, not the best idea in the world. But she said, "Look, if you want to put it towards a car, you want to put it towards this or that, pay down whatever bills you have." And I was like, "Oh, I'm going to buy a guitar, like a new bass." So at that point, I was on my fourth bass guitar, I believe. I'd been playing maybe 5-6 years or so. I don't even know. And a series of crappy bass to slightly less crappy bass, slightly better than that bass. And I was playing a PV Cirrus 4-string neck through, great bass, but the neck kept slipping out and it would go out of tune. I was like, "Hey, I've got $10,000 and nothing to lose. Let's go get like the bass. Let's go get." I knew at that point I was going to be playing for the rest of my life. And so I put the money in the bank, and then I went to Music Row, 48th Street. Now, back in the day, kids, 48th Street was all music stores. Manny's and Sam Ash and 48th Street Guitars. Was it 48th? Am I doing this wrong? Doesn't matter. I honestly don't care. So I took maybe, I think, $1,500, and I spent the whole day in the city. I don't remember who I was with. I think my mom and my stepfather at that point, who is no longer my stepfather, and thank God for that. He was a dickhead. But went into the city and played every bass on that block. Nothing grabbed me. I don't know. I mean, I played every bass I ever thought I would love. I played a Padula. I played a Kabuki Factor, the one that Stu Ham used to play, and just nothing quite clicked. So I let it go. I said, you know what? Today's not my day. I'll find my bass someday. Weeks and weeks later, I went to Long McQuaid, a music store in Parsippany, no longer there, but it was like the cool spot. Like all the guys there were cool. I'm still friends with a couple of the guys there. Hey, Joe Howell, Rich Tozzi. And I went in to buy a drum machine. I wasn't looking for a bass. I needed a drum machine. I was doing some home recording on a little Tascam 424 4-track thingy. I was like, I need a drum machine. So I went in, I picked up this drum machine. It was like, I don't know, $200 or something. And on the way out, I wasn't even looking at the basses. Somebody opened the door and the sun like hit the glass in the door and it hit this bass. This bass was hanging towards the front and it lit up this green, that gorgeous green. And I went, whoa, stop the presses. I said, what is that bass? And I said, oh wait, it's a 5-string. I'm a 4-string guy. If 4 strings are good enough for Geddy and Jocko and John Paul Jones, that's all I need is a 4-string. But something in me said, hey, dumbass, try the bass. And the guys there knew me. It was an expensive bass, $2,200. And they knew me for years. They knew I was just broke all the time. Couldn't even afford strings most of the time. I said, hey, is it cool if I plug this in and try it out? And they were like, yeah, sure, go ahead. Knock yourself out, kid. I plugged it into whatever amp they had available. Within like 5 minutes, I knew this was my bass. This bass was put there on that day for me. And they weren't a Modulus dealer. I don't know if anybody is. I mean, these are basically, I think, custom built out in California. Not so much anymore, but back then. So it's not like you could just go into like a Guitar Center and there's a Modulus floating around. I'd never even heard of the brand, but after playing this thing, I said, holy shit, I need this bass. I just so happened to have, well, at that point, maybe $8,000 left. I went to the mall and blew through a bunch of money on buying CDs and band t-shirts and things. But I had the money. I didn't have a bank card. I didn't have like a Visa card or anything at that point. So I said, listen, do me a favor, put this behind the counter. I'm coming back tomorrow. I gotta take the money out of the bank. I'm buying this bass. And they said, sure you are. I said, no, listen to me. Put this bass behind the counter. I'm coming back tomorrow. I'm buying this bass. So I went the next day to the bank. Funny bit about that is I knew the teller. She was my friend Dean's neighbor, and we didn't like her. She used to call the cops on us when we were playing too loud in his basement, and we were playing like racquetball and the ball went in her yard. She'd keep the ball. Like, didn't care for her. I don't even remember her name. But I went to the bank and had my little withdrawal slip when you still had to, write the shit out. And I wrote it for, I think, $2,500. So I could buy the bass, cover the tax, and still have some, drinking money. And she said, and this is a breach of etiquette. She goes, wow, that's a lot of money you're taking out. What are you buying? So I looked her dead in the eye. I said, pills. And she just turned white as a ghost and was like, oh, okay then. Anyway, went to Long McQuaid. I got the bass. I brought it home and was terrified. I said, how am I going to learn on a 5-string? I've only been playing for a handful of years. I knew this is something I wanted to do for the rest of my life. So I immediately sold my 4-string, my PV Cirrus. Actually, I didn't so much sell it as I kind of gave it to my friend Tony because I owed him money. I had borrowed his PA head for a gig at Cornell. Where was it? It was some frat gig, and I fried it. Somebody spilled a beer on it, and it was not my fault, but it was my responsibility. So to reimburse him, I gave him my bass. He still uses it, actually. He's still playing that PV, and it is a good bass. It's not this bass. So not only, actually, the bass was worth more than what I owed him. So I believe he compensated me with a bag of mushrooms. Sorry, Mom. Sorry, Dad. But yeah, so I gave him my PV he gave me some mushrooms. And then because I knew if I kept my 4-string, I was never going to get comfortable on the 5. I would just default to the 4-string to be safe. And I said, no, I'm getting rid of it. I'm going to have just this, and I will be forced to learn. And the first couple gigs were a bit of a nightmare. I have a picture, 2 pictures maybe, from when we played, Burgundy Bishop played at Suds, which then became the Boot and Have Grill, which is now like a hot wings place. But the pictures aren't great. I look weird. I was trying to grow my hair out. It looks terrible. I'll put them in here at some point. But I quickly got acclimated to the 5-string, to the point where now my other bass is another Modulus. That's a whole other story. Maybe I'll do that one next. But I lost my train of thought. God damn it. Okay, so yeah, so I forced myself to get used to this, and now I'm so used to a 5-string. If I do a gig and I sit in with somebody and they invite me up or whatever, like, oh, here, you want to play bass on a song? If I get on 4-string, I'm practically useless. I'm so used to having that little bit of extra. So this bass, let's see, over the years, there's a big gouge because this is where my belt buckle sits. So as you play, it would just dig in. I mean, you can even see on my shirt here, see where it's worn out. That's where the bass rubs against the t-shirt. Put the Fat Moose sticker on, because why not? It's all original parts. All of the hardware is kind of faded. The only new bit is the nut, which is there. So years and years ago, when I only had this, and I have a 6-string PV that I hardly ever use. It's 6-string. That's just 1 string too many. But the nut wore down from years and years and years of use. And so I brought it to my buddies at Dave's Sound Repair, which literally is like, I could probably throw a rock and hit them, and they would be like, why are you throwing rocks? But I brought it to them and I said, listen, I need a new nut on here as quickly as possible. And, God, what's his name? Like, Dave runs the place, but the guitar guy, shit. I'm so sorry. I forgot his name. It's been a while. But he said, well, I have a plastic nut, and it's like, you know, $15 or whatever. I've got an ebony nut, and it's like 30-something bucks. I said, this bass is my life. Like, give me the best one you have. So he's like, all right, I'll give you the best one we have, which was the ebony one. And I said, how soon can you get it fixed? Because I got gigs coming up. And he said, it's going to take a few days. It's like, fuck. Is it Steve? Shit, I feel so bad. I forgot his name. I'm so sorry. Not like he's going to ever see this. Anyhow, so he's like, well, it's going to take a few days, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right, fine. I'll use my other bass for these gigs. Calls me the next day, says, listen, I stayed late last night and I got it done because I know how much you love this bass and I know how much you just want it done. And so, yeah, he did it overnight, which I will always be grateful. And you would think I would remember his goddamn name. Fuck. Anyhow, so the Modulus. This is, the action's a little high. I don't want to tweak it. I don't want to refret it. I don't want to do anything. I like having all the original parts except for the nut. But that was necessary. It's beat up. It's got some scrapes and bruises and chunks. Twice in my life, I have hit people with this bass. Hard. They deserved it. Yeah, it's a bass. It's also a bit of a cudgel. It's graphite. I don't know if you guys know this. So the neck here, it's not wood. It's a graphite composite thing. Super solid. Never goes out of tune. And it usually sounds better. I'm going through a little Line 6 guitar amp because my bass amp's in the car because I have a gig and I'm not dragging it out for this. Let me see. I got a little bit of chorus going on. Playing like shit. I'm tired. So Today, it's 30 years. 30 years. I was 21. I'm 51 now. I am dying a little bit more each day. But this bass, I can't even express. There are better basses, but this bass is mine. Without this bass, I'm nothing. I've blood, sweat, tears, all of the secretions you can think of. I've spent so much time with this bass. I love it so much. I was telling Nicole, if the house catches on fire, grab the cats, because I have to grab this bass. Even though it could probably survive a damn fire. This thing it's a damn beast. Takes a 9-volt. My other Modulus takes two 9-volts. This has EMGs. That has Bartolini's. Very different basses. Same company. Years apart. There's a whole story behind that bass as well. I'll get to that someday. But yes, sorry for the rambling. But this, my Modulus, it's funny when I bring this out to shows, there are two kinds of responses. The first one is Modulus. I've never heard of that. Is that by Fender? Who made? And the other one is, oh shit, you got a Modulus? Oh, that's so awesome. Can I check it out? Can I try it? So yeah, the Modulus is again, it's kind of beat up. It's kind of ratty. It's but it's mine. It's me. It has basically come to embody me. I mean, you got a little crackety crack there. You got some wear and tear on the. There you go. There you go. Look at those. That's probably from when I hit that guy in the head. That's a whole other thing. Some scratches, some dings, some issues. But I love this goddamn bass so much, and it doesn't even matter. I could be in the worst mood in the world, and I picked this up, and it's just. Man, this amp sounds like shit. Anyway, sorry, rambling. This video is going on like 17 minutes now. I'm so sorry. Don't even, if you got this far, then what the hell? Find a better thing to do with your time. But this right here, God, I love this bass so much. 30 years of gigging everywhere, the biggest gigs, the smallest gigs. It's I love it, and thank you if you watched this far for your patience. I have to go actually play a gig. I gotta go tune this down a half step. The band I'm playing with tonight tunes down a half step. Okay, if that's what you do, that's what you do. That's fine. Yeah, that's it. I'm so sorry, but I had to commemorate this. My favorite object on the planet is this.